Hello and welcome once again to Binary News, your daily dose of focused gaming news. Myself, Amata. Today is the 3rd of July and I have some news for you regarding Airtight Games, who you probably know better as the developers of Murdered Soul Suspect as well as Dark Void and Quantum Conundrum. However, the news is not happy at all, as the independent game studio has confirmed reports of its closure, which have been floating around the internet very recently, and this came via Twitter, saying, quote, "Thanks to all the fans, family and friends and colleagues who supported us and made the last 10 years possible." Now, at the moment, it's still a little bit unclear exactly how many people they employed, and of course how many people have subsequently lost their jobs, but according to one affected employee, the studio had been in a little bit of trouble financially since at least January, and this came from Lee Shenbeim, and please excuse me for probably horribly mispronouncing that. And he actually served as a lighting artist for Murdered Soul Suspect, and he said, quote, "News of Airtight Games closing broke today, but layoffs started as far back as January, and many of us are still looking." And just on Tuesday, a picture of the office of, well, the former office, should I say, of Airtight was posted on GeekWire, which basically showed a sign outside their building confirming they were closing doors, and they even reported that a small collection of Airtight's E3 awards sat looking very lonely on an empty desk surrounded by unused workstations, while apparently even office equipment was being advertised for sale at rather heavy discounts. Now, obviously, they did say back in April that quite a few staff have been laid off, and that was actually 14. And it was actually labelled as necessary restructuring, but it seems like the restructuring just wasn't enough. Of course, Murdered Soul Suspect has not exactly met with the most amazing reception, as all-round reviews seem to be very mixed, with more on the low end of the scale than the high. For example, just off the top of my little list here, we've got ratings of 5.5 and 5 from IGN and CBG, which doesn't exactly bode well, and that's kind of the figures you're seeing across the board from most big review sites. So this is a real shame, and my heart's go out to everyone affected. It's never fun when a studio closes, especially one like Airtight, who actually did have some interesting ideas. I haven't actually played Murdered Soul Suspect, but I did see a little bit of Dark Void, and while it had its share of problems, you couldn't lack them. You couldn't lack it, sorry, for the lack of interesting ideas. At least they were trying to do something a little bit different, so it's a real shame to see them fall by the wayside. But hopefully, some of the developers and people involved will find positions elsewhere, or maybe even start up their own studio. God knows that enough indie studios have been formed, basically from the wreckage of a larger one. So it's entirely possible that we will see their brand of development in some form in the future. Regardless, that is me done for this video. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.